You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello, wherever you are in the world, one of those should apply to you. Welcome along to LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live here on YouTube, if that is where you are watching, or via LinkedIn or Twitch, if they are your viewing portals of choice. Please join in with the show and add your comments in the chat, keep them respectful, of course, and if you're watching on catch-up, add your comments below. We're always pleased to see them. And if you are listening to this via your podcast platform of choice, rather than watching us, why would you not want to see this beautiful face? But look, that's your choice. And if you are listening, thank you for lending me your ears. Remember us to follow on all our socials. It's LTID TV. It's not easy for me to say, not since I cleaned my teeth. Tonight's show, it's a Leicester Extra, a bit like buses. We're waiting for a while, and then the two could come along at once because we had one last night and one tonight. And basically we've got one pre-season game to go, and it's the last one before we kick off, therefore, obviously, and it's the one that you would expect the manager and the team and the club to be looking at. We hope to, well, for me, I hope to see our starting 11. Will we, won't we? What do we think? We've played 4, won 2, lost 2. Been pretty uninspiring, really, hasn't it? I mean, I've got to say, he's probably in bed now, so he's not going to be watching this, but he did actually say earlier, this is Luke from Leicester City Down Under. Yes, we should. Weaker than last year and a way worse manager. Relegation is imminent. Sack the board. Don't know whether he's got his tongue firmly planted in his cheek there, Luke. I think he may have. Exact same attitude as we got relegated last time, and that is actually top needs to go. Wow. Wow. His tongue is planted in his cheek. Craig is in. Hi, Craig. How you doing? As is Greg. And Mike is in. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Subum. How you doing, mate? Hey, how you doing with our ex-manager? No, not happiness in the camp by the look of it. Oh, have you won a pre-season game yet? You are a charmer, Chris. I know. Z1 says, hi, Chris. And Scott's in. Hi, Scott. Well, in hindsight, we're guaranteed to see goals. I'm just unsure if it will be for us or against us. And unsure how our defence will hold out. We're going to get a couple of own goals, aren't we? We've already had 2 this pre-season. Luke is in, the True Red Luke. Hello, mate. How you doing? And Wayne is in. Evening, Chris and all. I was bobbing my nappy, to be honest, but yours and Kate's teams did improve my mood. We did that last night. Kate picked her ideal 25-man squad, so they weren't all in there. Birdwine, is it pronounced Burwine? Is being linked with us. Wouldn't mind him. But yeah, that was last night. You can still catch it on the LTID TV channel. Look, some great Leicester channels out there, and Leicester Fan TV is one of those. If you aren't following him yet, why not? Make sure you get over there and give him a follow. He joins us now. This is the pre-season review. Good evening, Ant.
Evening, mate. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, you've been away sunning yourself in Portugal.
Oh, it's all right for some, eh?
I know. But welcome back to a hot, but not for the same reasons, UK. But hopefully we'll get people's minds off that this evening, I should say, and talk football. Look, some comments there before we got started, but I put up there, should we be worried or is it too soon to panic? Like me, you've watched 3 of the 4 pre-seasons because none of us saw the first one, and we'll go through those later. But overall, how are you feeling?
My thing is, I'm not too worried because I always say with pre-season, you don't want to go over the top if you win all your pre-season games. Oh, we're fantastic. We're going to win everything. At the same time, if you lose them, you don't want to be, oh, we're getting relegated. We're losing every single game. Sack the manager, get everyone out. It's like, I think for pre-season, you need to sort of be like, understand that a lot of it is about minutes in the legs and these kind of things. But one thing that's really worrying me, though, is we are lacking creativity in that midfield. And it's abundantly clear. Like, I think all 3 games, that has been very clear. And it's like, there's been certain things throughout the games that I think has improved and looked better. But one thing that like all 3 games have created absolutely nothing through the middle.
Definitely. And I have to say that I have been a little bit disappointed. But look, how often have we seen not just Leicester, but any club in pre-season lose all their pre-season games and then go on and have a great season, or alternatively win everything and then go on and get relegated? I think Ant's having a few camera issues at the moment.
I am. The joys of coming back, all of my setups is completely wrong. So bear with me.
That's all right. That's all right. That's the best you've looked for a long time. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you. See, there's a reason I come onto this channel. I get all sorts of lovely compliments.
I wouldn't like to disappoint you. I think Luke, I'm hoping Luke was pretty much tongue-in-cheek, but his comments, he did that before we even kicked off, because I say he's on a different time in Australia. Worst manager, weaker than last year. All right, look, we've sold Kieran Shrewsbury Hall, and that's the one thing that, yes, it has weakened us, obviously, but it saved us, hopefully, PSR-wise.
The thing is, I think squad-wise, I think we're probably similar to where we were last year, because I think we've brought in some very good players, or players that could turn out to be very good, like a Coley. I like the look of him. I think he looks like a raw signing with a lot of work that needs to be done, but there looks like potential there. Bobby Reid, I think, is good experience. Golding, I like the look of him. Again, a young lad that's going to develop, I think. And obviously Fatu on a permanent. But there's a Kieran Shrewsbury Hall-sized gap in that midfield that I think is, like, when you're watching us play, it is abundantly clear. And it's like, I don't actually think we're weaker right now than we were last season. But how we were last season wasn't good enough to stay up in the Premier League. You need to build on it, not just sort of stay at where you were in the Championship.
And I think 100%. I mean, you've only got to look at the 3 that went down with the 3 that came up. You have got to build on it. And I've got to say, I've watched these games, and I can't say that I've looked at anybody and went, well, they're really crap. There's 1 or 2 that haven't surprised me and were probably what I expected, Samare being one of them. There's nobody apart from maybe a couple, nobody that's really stood out. But the one thing that I had to sort of eat humble pie over, and I know it's not like me to have to eat humble pie, but Cordova Reid, I was very disappointed with that signing, because I thought 3 years for a 31-year-old when his current club will only give him 2, what the hell are we doing? But in the last game, which I say we will come on to, he did actually look really, really good and was one of the better players there. But
he's one as well. That was him playing out of position, but he's been signed, I think, as a bit of a jack of all trades. And like the thing that I think as well is, like, as much as we like the big name sort of money signings and the sort of exciting young and up and coming players, you need that balance of having that experience and that leadership. Something that is very interesting about Cordova Reid is he was part of that leadership group at Fulham as well.
Definitely. And like you say, it is getting the mix right. Look, we know we and you've anybody that's seen these last 3 games, you can't help but notice we have nothing in the centre, like you said, attacking midfield wise. But Cooper knows it as well. Yeah, and at least we've got a manager now that can see where the problems are.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if he was trying to. It didn't work. But again, I think that's partly down to fitness. But I don't know if that's why he's gone for like the workman sort of workhorse midfield of Ndidi, Harry Winks, and Samare to then go as a 4-3-3, and then your creativity comes from your width and your fullbacks. You know how with Liverpool when they were at their best, they had I think it was Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Henderson, who, but they're decent technical footballers, but they're really just they're just free workhorses that are going to work relentlessly. And then Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold was what gave the creativity out from out wide. It looked like at times that's what he was trying to do, but it just I don't know. It felt like it was a very much a forced system because of what cards
it's early days. I mean, look, let's be honest with you. I mean, I'm a lot older than you. Well, I say just maybe. But, you know, I can remember when you never saw a pre-season game. There were never, you know, tickets weren't sold for them and you were never on telly. And I just sometimes think, you know, when I've been doing the watch-alongs, I've been treating them as if it's a league game. And, you know, we've had the chat afterwards as if it's a review of a league game. And it's not, you know. But what I can't get with these games is, what do you learn by bringing on somebody for 5 minutes?
That's the one thing I've been really disappointed about so far is you likes of Will Alves, etc. Getting 5-10 minutes. It's like I give him a proper run out, even if it's just for one game. Give him a whole half. Give him some time. But again, we might see that against Lens because like pre-season, we have still got one more pre-season game and. I've also seen some rumours that we might have another behind closed door friendly next Wednesday.
All right. Any idea? Do you know who that's against?
No, but I believe again, it's Twitter. It could well just be absolute rubbish. We know how it is, but apparently we could be doing a behind closed doors game at Seagrave.
All right. Look, like I say, we are, I think, reading a lot into these. For me, though. We've got it's a new manager coming in, so he's going to want to try new things. He's not just going to come in and do an exact carbon copy of what Enzo did. And we even knew really with Enzo, and I think we've got the advantage of having seen Burnley obliterate the Championship more than we ended up doing in the end, and then still struggling and going back down. And I think that sort of certainly made me think, hang on, we're not just going to go up and fly.
To be fair, though, Burnley's squad, and I know we've lost Shrewsbury Hall, but I would still say our squad is very similar to what it was last year, just with that Shrewsbury Hall-sized hole. Their squad was significantly stronger in the Championship than it was in the Premier League. Because they lost Nathan Teller, they lost Ian Matson, they lost Harwood Bellis. I believe they put James Trafford in goal, who just wasn't ready for the Premier League. And you talk to any Burnley fan, they'll tell you Muric was a much better keeper for them. But Company had signed James Trafford, so he didn't want to sort of take him out. And I feel like there was a few more players that they lost. So they were significant from like everything that I've read. They were like, it wasn't just one player. It was significantly across the squad. They were much weaker.
Let's just catch up with some comments before we look at the first game. Craig says we're in for a fight this season with the team and points to come, but we need a forward badly. Yeah, don't we just? What are you drinking, Chris? That's the question of the night. What do you think I'm drinking? And I'm still after sponsorship. Come on, Thatchers. Come on, Thatchers. Get your fingers out. Get some sponsorship on here. Z1, we obviously are going to be we worried because we're coming back up. So in my opinion, we need to create more chances and take them when we have. So we're going to be worried more than we should be. Luke says, can never read too much into pre-season. It's for experimenting before the real stuff starts. No, that's a good, fair point. Chris, have you seen Popov?
Young Welsh striker in our academy, but he hasn't played any of pre-season.
No, my response to that obviously says a lot, doesn't it? Like, who? And then Greg has just replied and said the same. Special brew. Look, I mean, I tell you one thing that has highlighted the problem. As much as I stood up for Daka last season, and it wasn't that I thought that he was suddenly he'd turn into Gary Lineker or anything like that. I just think some of the criticism he took was unfair when it wasn't being dished out to other players in that position. We are going to struggle with him up front this season. Yes, we've got Vardy, but he's 37 now, Vardy. He's taken a knock in that first game. He scored a goal in the first game against Villarreal. In fact, it was 2-1 and we scored all 3 goals again. But if this is what a little knock does and puts him out for 3 or 4 games, we're not going to see much of him this season, are we?
No. And I think this contract extension for him was about as much as what he's going to do off the field as on it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, I think, we then, if that's the case, if we're looking at that for Vardy, who the hell is going to stand up and take the chances? Daka, he's been given the chance. And again, over these 3 games, he hasn't showed me anything that makes me think he's the guy that's going to suddenly come good this season.
Well, there's my light. Must be about 20 minutes into the stream is my guess.
18. No, I'll give you that.
With Daka, he didn't cut it in the Championship. If there was ever a time he was going to come good, it would have been last season. Didn't happen. And it's not through a lack of trying. This is one thing I will say for him. He works relentlessly hard, but he's just not good enough. He is just not good enough.
No, I agree. But do you worry then? Because we're then relying on Cannon, who could be a very good prospect. In fairness, we don't know. We've not seen him. Has he got a really bad injury that we knew he was sort of not 100% when we bought him? Have we been sort of not done our due diligence there as to why isn't he getting more chances pre-season? Because he should have had more last season to get him ready for this season.
Something that, and I know people won't like this, but something that's quite damning though about Tom Cannon, and I do want to see him play, and I do want to see him get given an opportunity. When you've got 2 managers, and 2 very different style of managers, both picking Daka over him, there's got to be as much as we're frustrated with Daka and don't think he's Premier League ready, there's got to be a reason for it.
Very, very quick. I agree 100%. It does say something. It's the same with Suter, really, isn't it? How many managers has he played under and not really had his chance, and he's gone out on loan now? We have obviously been linked with Fofana, and I'm going to be speaking to Dan, the Burnley fan, in the morning, because obviously he was on loan at Burnley last season. So it'd be good to get his straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. Do you think he could be the answer? Young lad coming from Chelsea?
He could potentially be, but it's then a lot of responsibility for a 21-year-old who's played half a season in the Premier League to come in and say, be the talisman, get us over the line. But it's whoever comes in, it's going to be I don't want to say an unknown quantity because he's played in the Premier League before, but whoever comes in, it's not going to be your proven striker. It's going to be someone that's a bit of a roll of the dice. And I think that's the situation we're in at the moment. And I think that's why, you look at some, like we say about attacking midfielders, I think we're in a similar light there where I think a lot of the attacking midfielders we've been linked to are young, promising players. But if we sign them, we're signing them for what they could become, not what they already are.
Yes, yeah. But again, do you think that that's a good thing? Because if we buy somebody for what they already are, we've seen with Jacoba Reed, we've got to give him, and I want him to do well. Anybody we sign, I want them to do well. But we then stuck with them maybe for a few years at the end when we probably they might be past the prime. Yeah,
but let's say if, and I hope this doesn't happen, but say Fofana comes in and he's absolutely crap, and let's hope that's not the case. But if he comes in and that is the case, then we'll be stuck with him for a few years, just like we are with Daka, because we signed Daka as a young prospect. He's not going to get bigger wages elsewhere. So
it's a gamble, isn't it? However you sign. I guess.
This is where I do think regardless, Steve Cooper needs to be backed. Like, he needs to be given the players in those positions because he's got a hard enough job as it is. Like, you can't expect him to turn water into wine.
No. As much as we'd want him to. But the first match that we saw, if you like, or were allowed to see, was the Shrewsbury game. Again, am I expecting too much from this? It was, the first, if you like, proper pre-season with fans there. But we're playing a third-tier group, and this worries me because they had 14 shots. We had 8.
I believe, though, and this is why I take this first game with a pinch of salt, I believe that was Shrewsbury's third pre-season game, wasn't it?
Was it? Right.
So,
I mean, again, we had the possession. Did you take anything positive out of that game?
Not really. I was trying to look for I was trying to think of something there. No, I'm struggling, mate. I'm struggling.
You're trying, but there's nothing there, is there? I tell you what, it did show me, and this isn't a positive. This is a total. It's backing up my thoughts. Luke Thomas, his future is away from this club. I know he's got another year left on his contract. He was being overrun in that game. Now, if you're being overrun, even if they've already played 3 games, so they're more up to speed than us, they're a third-tier side. This is a guy who's played in Europe. This is a guy who's played in the Premier League. And then, yes, he's had his confident shot at Sheffield United last season, but he's not up to it for Leicester, is he?
No. And this is where I struggle with, we sent him out on loan and gave him a contract extension. I think as much as we wanted him to do well when he went out on loan to Sheffield United, then Middlesbrough, I think realistically, I don't think any of us expected him to set the world alight. And it's like, it's all well and good giving him a contract to protect his value. All we've actually done is given him a contract to get for another year's wages.
Yes. I just, like I say, I think if anything, because he's obviously not even, he's not appeared since then, has he? And I think that kind of showed. It was good to see Connor Cody starting. And I think he started as captain for that game, or was it the next one? But he started quite a few. And I'm a Cody fan. And I think what he gives us, whether he can play alongside Vestergaard or not, I don't know. But he's got that experience. He's got that. He can control it. That nobody, if he's not playing, who in that back line controls that back line? I don't think there's anybody there that is that general in that part of the pitch. He gives us that, doesn't he?
He does. He's a natural born leader, and it's like I think with our defence, I think it will be either Vestergaard or Cody alongside Caleb. So I don't think it will be Vestergaard and Cody. I think it will be Vestergaard or Cody because I think the pace is just too much. I say too much, just too lacking with those two at the back. Then I think if you go into a back 3, it's a different conversation.
Yes. You don't think it's going to be Cody and Vestergaard?
I really hope not. I really hope not. This season's going to be painful as it is, Chris. We don't need to make it.
Your worst nightmare, that, isn't it?
You can just imagine one long ball over the top, just every time.
Well, that's why I can't. Hi, Jack, how you doing? That's why I cannot understand Sutar going, because at least Sutar, when he goes up for corners, knows where the net is. I mean, the one goal that Vestergaard scored for us when he came off his knee, his balls, and his big toe or something. I mean, it was but I can't believe it. I can't remember what game. I think it might have been the last game when he came on. We actually went slower than we were before he came on, and the speed of this play, it's making Enzo Ball look like we were playing at 100 miles an hour.
The thing is, something going back to a positive, because I have thought of one positive of the first game was Mavadidi in the middle. Like it's like I quite liked the look of that, but I just think part of the reason I think we look so slow at the moment is there's just it's like a polo, isn't it? There is just absolutely nothing in the middle. And it's like, I think Harry Winks in his own right, very good player. And Ndidi in his own right, very good player. Samare, I'm 50-50 on Samare.
Yeah.
But not one of those is a creative player. And it's like, then you're putting a huge amount of emphasis on either James Justin, Ricardo Pereira, or Christensen. But we don't get the ball and I refer to Liverpool all the time with the 4-3-3 because I think they're the best example, the team that's used that 4-3-3 system the best sort of recently. You watch them play, they move that ball so quickly and it's out to those wings, it's out to Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's out to Andy Robertson so quickly. It's like, if you're going to play that system and play slow football, then it's very easy for your winger, for the opposition to mark out your wingers of the game and then double up on the fullbacks.
Do you think that we are going to see it being played this slow? You've very much got pre-season. Players don't want to get injured. They don't want to get a Fofana and then be out for the rest of the season. So they are taking it that bit easier. Do you think that is at the back of their minds at all?
I think could be an element of that. And I also don't think any team that we're going to play is going to sit in and sit on the edge of their box, particularly the last two games. We're going to be the team that everyone's going to think, we can go and play football against. So I think there'll be more opportunities on the counter and more opportunities to break quickly. I do think in the preseason games that a lot of the opposition teams have just let us have the ball and sat off us. I can't see that being the case in the Premier League.
It's interesting, and I don't want to sort of linger on him too long, but Enzo's having a bit of a tough time of it at Chelsea. That's a shame, isn't it? Do you think he would have, therefore, his style of play would have struggled for us at Leicester?
I don't know, to be honest. I think how one-dimensional he was. I think as soon as it was found out, there would have been a blueprint there, and every team would have beaten us quite comfortably. Because you look at in the Championship, once teams started to figure us out, it became very difficult to win any game towards the end. Apart from, I think the Preston game was the only one we looked really convincing in.
Yeah. In
the Premier League, if you get figured out, you can tell the quality difference in between the Championship, where we had the best squad in the league, and getting figured out, compared to in the Premier League, if you get figured out and have one of the lower squads in the league, it's two different ball games.
Definitely. We then moved on to the Palmeiro game. We lost it. All right. This is the other thing as well. Sorry, I forgot with the first game and this game. And I've been waiting to get you on to ask you this question. I really haven't. Guys, I'm just going to get something just sort of to hide behind here, just while I ask Ant this question. Danny Ward in goal.
To be fair, it was only because Mads Hermansen wasn't back yet.
No, it was, in fairness. Wasn't his fault for that goal against Palmeiro, though, was it? It was a couple of defenders that cocked it up.
No, but it's one of those. It's like, if you're going to make those kind of mistakes, get it out your system in pre-season.
Yes, yeah. Okoli's going to do well. He's been with us for the first game. He scored a lone goal. He's going to settle in well, isn't he? But yeah, Danny, were you surprised that we've seen Danny Ward over? Because all right, Salarchik is out till Christmas or December sometime. You would therefore think that Everson would start to step up, I should say. Do you think it was a case of putting Danny Ward in the shop window?
To be fair, I don't think he wants to go anywhere, so you can put him in the shop window as much as he wants. If he's happy to sit on the bench, which he's done for 95% of his career, he's been a number two. I don't think one more year on a big contract he's going to be sort of too upset about.
So do you think that we're going to see Everson leave?
I think so. I think he's more likely to go than Ward.
I think he's probably got more suitors, hasn't he, than Ward as well. Would you be happy knowing that, because we were linked with the goalkeeper, we're careful, we're going to have a five-a-side of goalkeepers here, aren't we? But would you be happy, or are you going to be happy if we go into this pre-season not buying another goalkeeper because it isn't an area that we really need covering, knowing that, if Everson goes, then it's going to be Hermansen and Ward on the bench? Because I tell you what, I'm not sure, again, I think it was this Palmeiras game, one of them, you could see again the defenders were not confident in him coming through a ball.
No, the thing is, it's not an ideal situation having Danny Ward, is it? But there's bigger fish to fry, as we Arsenal fans kept telling us during their season when they kept getting knocked out of cup competitions and everything. Bigger fish to fry, we're going to win the Premier League. In this one, bigger fish to fry, we need a midfielder, we need a striker. I think goalkeeper is well down the list of priorities. Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the latest game, Ballfest for me, against Augsburg. Again, in all our games, the opposition has had the majority of the game. They've had the more shots. I just thought it was so slow and boring, this game.
It was painful, wasn't it?
And
then
Westergaard came on and it went even slower.
The thing about this game is, I was, when we were playing the 4-3-3 against Shrewsbury in the opening game, and James Justin had to keep cutting back because he's not naturally a left-footed left back. I thought with Christensen, he's a left-footed left back. Get down the line, whip a ball across the box. Yes. Every time, got down the line, passed it back. Got down the line, passed it back. It's like just put a ball across the box.
100%. I like Christensen, and hopefully he will get involved. And I know last season he wasn't in Enzo's plans because of his position and the formation that Enzo wanted to put out there, I should say. I love to see him, and he gets, I think the fans love him. He gets forward when he gets the ball. I'm agreeing with you too much tonight. Something is going wrong here. I think I put a vodka in this as well as the cider. But yeah, he was playing it back. And I'm going to say this with the Augsburg game. I wasn't a fan of Dakova Reed. I thought he was too old, blah, blah, blah. To me, he was the best player on that pitch in that game. And at one point, he ran to the... Well, it wasn't to the... It was to the byline, sorry. But it was close to the penalty box. Cut the ball back in. Not one Leicester player there to try and get on the end or see, if the goalkeeper was to spill it or anything like that.
This is where Vardy's movement in the box is elite. And I think we know about it and know how good Vardy is sort of in that box and in those kind of areas. I think people are going to, and I think non-Leicester fans are going to realise how good Vardy is this year when we haven't had him up front. Obviously, Leicester fans, we all know how fantastic he is because the amount of times he makes that near post run and either gets a little flick on it. Even if he doesn't, it doesn't result in a goal, he'll win you a corner. We've seen him win penalties from those kind of balls as well. It looked very static and basic from Daka.
It did, and that to me was the case in point. Is that where was he running in? The thing we're supposed to enjoy about him is the fact that he's fast. But I mean, he's as fast as good at speeding as bloody Vestergaard is at jumping. I mean, he should have been in there getting on the end of that cross, and you could see the frustration in Reed's face after. What the bloody hell am I doing?
The thing is, he is rapid, and I think he's our quickest player. But there's quick with your legs and quick with your mind. Yeah. And I think Vardy's got that footballing IQ, and he's got that experience that a lot of other players in our team don't have. But his footballing IQ is right up there, which is why even at his age, he is banging, last year, he was banging in goals because not as many of them were just your sort of on the shoulder running in behind. A lot of it was being in the right place at the right time. And that's as a goal scorer, you've either got it or you haven't.
And I'm not sure Daka has got it, to be honest with you. I'll finish your sentence off there for you. I mean, do you remember the days of Cotty and Heskey? And Cotty himself admitted that, he was getting on a little bit. I think he may have been around the same age as Vardy is now. But he knew he didn't have to do any of the running because he'd got Heskey doing that for him. And all he knew was he had to be in the right position at the right time. And as long as he was there, Heskey would get the ball to him.
Yeah, it's like we know we're not going to get those. And occasionally we still will get Vardy running in behind, but we know that we're not going to get the relentless running of the channels anymore and constantly off the last man and off the last defender. I think anyone who's expecting that of Vardy is completely unrealistic to what he is now. But how many top players do we see that just can't adapt their game and it's painful watching them towards the back end of their career. One thing Vardy's done so well is he's adapted his game. We never used to see him really dropping deep either. And that's something last year, I think, under Enzo, that he's really developed and looks much better at than he's ever looked before.
Definitely. Mavadidi and Fatawu, they've looked less effective in this pre-season. Again, am I expecting too much of them too soon?
I think Mavadidi's looked quite good, actually. I think particularly when he's played centrally, I've quite like the look of Mavadidi. Fatawu, I think he is really struggling without having a creative outlet. It's like the thing is, last year, a big part of why Fatawu was so good is one of the reasons was he was quite often left isolated against his fullback, where he would take them on and really drive at them. Also, he had such a brilliant partnership with Ndidi, who last year, and I stand by this, he's not capable of doing this in the Premier League, but last year was that creative outlet and someone to link up with. This year, we don't have that in the midfield.
Do you think Cordova Reed could do that, though?
It's a square peg in a round hole, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, I know what you're saying. The number of times we used to watch Fatawu and you would see Mavadidi just running down the inside of him, and you know that, Fatawu was going to play that ball down and Mavadidi would get it and try and cross it in from the line. I'm just thinking, and we're not going to get too up front. I know I'm barking up the wrong tree, but would it not be good to have somebody just playing off Jamie Vardy?
It would, but I don't think then to go two up front, I don't think then we've got sort of the quality at the back to lose a defender.
And do you think we need, because I picked my team, my starting 11, and Kate did hers, and I actually dropped Ndidi to bring Ricardo up into midfield to accommodate Justin and Christensen on the wings. And look, we're going to find it. We're going to find it hard next season anyway. Well, if we're going to struggle, we might as well go down fighting. And they do say sometimes the best form of defense is attack.
Yeah, it's very much if we don't bring someone in, it's then what's the solution? And this is where I worry that I don't think Will Alves should have this pressure on him, but I would have liked to have seen him given some minutes in pre-season so we could have seen sort of if he's at that level yet. I don't think he will be. I think he's a really good prospect, but I don't think Ricardo in the Premier League in midfield works, but we don't know because we haven't seen it.
But look, I wanted to talk to you about Alves, to be honest with you, because look, we've got a good youth system at the club. And now Enzo was supposed to be really, really good with youth. Brendan was supposed to be really, really good with youngsters. Neither of them really brought any of the youngsters through. And again, Alves, maybe we should have seen more of him last season to get him ready for this season. Now, to me, on the little bit that we've seen of him, he's young. He's got that exuberance. He wasn't scared to go forward for the few minutes he was on. I've actually got him down in an article that's coming out next week as possibly my breakthrough player, but he's got to be given that opportunity. Will he sink? Will he swim? We won't know till we throw him in the pool. So surely we've just got to throw him in the pool and see what happens.
I agree to an extent, but I also think, and going back to Luke Thomas earlier on, I think half of the reason Luke Thomas hasn't developed as much as we'd hoped. I think he got thrown in too early due to sort of lack of players in those positions. But at the same time, I think we were in a much stronger position then, where we were pushing top four, challenging for cup competitions, and we were buying players. Now we don't have that luxury. We're not in that position. So it could be a sink or swim kind of moment, but it feels like that's very premature for Will Alves.
But do we keep saying, he's been on the cusp of breaking into the team for like 2 seasons now. You see other teams putting these players in at 16, 17, 18 and giving them a go. And we'll still be sat here at 29 saying, well, maybe next season will be his season. He's going to break through next season. We could be collecting his pension before he breaks through.
He's only 19.
Yeah, but look, how old was Thomas? Thomas, and also, Thomas and also Christensen. But how at some point, and I'm not saying throwing him and leave him and do what happened with Daka, just leave him in whatever happens, but, at least put him into some games. Let's see him.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We need to at least be given an opportunity. But I think last year we would have seen him if he hadn't got injured. And I think we would be having a very different conversation now about sort of where he is. And I think it's frustrating, isn't it? Because I think last year, each season in the Championship would have done him a world of good.
Yes. Does he go out on loan then for a season, or do we, like I say, try and make the most of him? Could he be the KDH replacement we're looking for? Excuse me.
I think ideally not, but if needs must, then time to step up.
Yes, yeah. So looking at all those games there, like I say, we 2-1 win against Villarreal, scoring all the goals, 2-1 over Shrewsbury, 1-0 against Palermo, scoring that goal, and 1-0 against Augsburg. Name the players that have impressed you and players then that haven't impressed you. We've touched on some of them, but for me, I'll start it off with Samari. Again, I think possibly he's had his chance as well.
I disagree. I've quite liked what I've seen from Samari.
Really?
I thought he's looked physical on the ball. I think when he's carried the ball, he's looked all right. But I just think it's 3 midfielders that, whilst Harry Winks is brilliant technically, 3 midfielders that are similar in the regard that they're all sort of that workman midfielder. I think you get a creative midfielder in there. I think you see a much better Harry Winks. I think you see a much better Wilfred Ndidi and a much better Boubakary Samari. It's just, I think at the moment they're almost, when it feels like they're almost getting in each other's way.
Gerrard and Lampard for England.
Yeah, wouldn't mind a Gerrard or a Lampard.
Well, no, but they.
I know what you mean. But
they can't play together.
But I think the thing with Samari as well is you can't ignore the fact of he went to a Champions League club last year in Sevilla and did very well. There's clearly a player there. It's about time we saw it in a Leicester top.
Yes, yeah. Anybody else then that has disappointed you?
No one particularly individually.
No.
I just think it's collectively been very slow and painful to watch.
And it's made it hard to say name anybody that's actually stood out then. I like the look of Alves when he was on, but he was hardly on, was he? Let's be honest with you. Christensen, but just cross the ball in when you get it to that byline and give Daka a boot up the fucking arse to get them go forward when that's happening. Player you haven't mentioned, but it was quite noticeable by his absence when you were saying about who'd be starting the back, and that's Wout Faes.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it would be entertaining, should we say, if Okoli and Wout Faes played together, because they're both so aggressive and so both try and play on the front foot. Like it will be one of those where it's like it's absolutely fantastic and brilliant, or an absolute car crash and you just want to hide.
Yeah,
I have a feeling it'll be a little bit closer to a second, but I think
I am not a Wout Faes fan, to be honest with you.
I am shocked.
You are?
I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as he's made out to be.
No, he's not. Don't get me wrong, he's not. And I have no worry I prefer him starting on the right. I've got to be honest with you, but I always think he's got a mistake in him.
He does, and this is what I mean. When he steps forward and aggressive, and like if he wins the ball back, you're like, oh, brilliant, fantastic! Like you love to see that from a centre back, getting stuck in, getting involved. In the same situation, if he steps forward and then the ball's played over the top of him, you think, oh, bloody, like switch on. You keep making mistakes, and that's sort of the type of centre back he is because he's aggressive. He leaves himself exposed to those mistakes, but he can also push a team 5-10 yards up the pitch when he is aggressive and steps forward.
Totally. Right, let's just catch up with some comments briefly then. Greg, he's talking to Jack. We should have took a punt on Ross Barkley.
It wasn't really a choice for us as soon as Villa came in. I don't think.
Yeah. I don't think, and I think his wages might have been a little bit. Although he was on a free, wasn't he? So, Vestergaard is the turning circle of a East Midlands train with the carriages on it. James, hi James, how you doing? Annoying me, Cooper is renowned for his youth player development and isn't really giving any academy lads a decent stint in pre-season. Reckon I'd rather stick £10 down the drain than pay on Saturday. But it is, like I say, are we reading way too much into these pre-seasons?
I think so, because I think for a first pre-season, you don't typically see the manager play loads of youth players. I think it's when the manager's a bit more settled with his squad, you would start to see youth players coming in during pre-season. But if this was Steve Cooper's second or third pre-season with us, I think I'd feel a lot more annoyed about it than I do now.
Yes, yeah. You've got a lot. We've got to give Cooper a chance, haven't we? I'm sure Jamie Vardy is still. I think the JVs are getting mixed up. As indeed, Andrew, we're going to see a lot of goals this season. Just unfortunately, not from us. Who's going to pay Danny Ward from now? Yeah, that's the point.
Leicester will.
We are doing. Surprised we don't do what the BBC did with Hugh Edwards and give him a pay rise. The game was like Enzo ball. It was slower than Enzo ball, Wayne. It really was. Hopefully Saudi League are short on goalkeepers. I think even they have their limits. You get me. You see, he's made me into an Ant believer because I know Ant doesn't like Ward, and I am getting that way. Does it show what you're saying there? Dakad level of football intelligence rather than I think he's being rude, rather than the ability is why Vardy stands out above him. Maybe Cannon can pass the knowledge on to maybe Cannon can pass the knowledge on to Cannon and he can prove on time. I think I get what you mean, Scott. I just think like Camp said earlier, it's strange that a couple of managers haven't sort of been playing him as much as maybe they should. Spot on about Fataru Ant. To be honest with you, let's wait and see. It's going to be difficult to say those first couple of weeks. We don't know who's coming in. That could change everything as well. Luke Thomas was overplayed. Simari just doesn't have it. I am beginning to think that. Yes, look, with all players, we know there's a good player in there. Are you surprised, and talking about strikers, that we let Iheanacho go and rather than try and sell Daka?
We didn't. The thing is, we didn't let Iheanacho go. He made that choice. We offered him a contract. We tried to keep him.
Did we try hard enough, though?
Yeah, because I don't think he deserved a pay rise.
It's one of those, isn't it?
It's like, I think Iheanacho is a much better player than Daka, but he's also, I think he's on 60 grand a week. He's not worth any more than that.
No. Let's get your thoughts very quickly. We'll make this the last section on those players that we are being linked with. And we talked, we briefly already touched on Fofana, but Carvalho from Liverpool, and hopefully going to have Doug on as well next couple of days to give us his thoughts on him. That quite excites me.
It does. I really like the look of him. And it's not the first time that we've been incredibly linked to him. We tried to sign him in January. It didn't happen. So it's not as if it's just a panic signing. Oh, Shrewsbury Hall's gone. Go and get a creative midfielder. It's a player that's been monitored for a while. I really like the look of him. And if we would have to go with either a striker or a midfielder, I think you go with a midfielder and get Carvalho.
Yes, because he can find the net a bit as well, can't he? You know. And finally, Bergwijn, is it pronounced? Ex-Fulham striker over at Ajax at the moment, who are having their own financial woes. Fancy him with a Leicester shirt on?
Well, he scored those 2 goals, didn't he, right at the end of the game?
I wasn't going to mention that. I didn't like to bring that up, but...
Am I right in thinking he scored 4 goals that season and 3 of those were against us?
That seems to ring a bell. I can't confirm or deny it to put my politician's hat on, but it was something like that, wasn't it?
The thing is, the worrying thing is, it sounds so believable as well, doesn't it? And it doesn't surprise either of us, which is the worrying thing. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so in his last season at Tottenham, he scored 3 goals, and all 3 were against us, I believe.
Difficult. But would you fancy him?
His numbers at Ajax look very good.
Yeah.
I don't know, because his time at Tottenham, for me, he never scored more than 3 goals in a Premier League season.
No.
That massively concerns me. But has he gone away and sort of, I don't know if there was an attitude issue or what it was at Tottenham, or if it just wasn't the right place, or if he just flat out wasn't cut out for the Premier League. But how many times have we seen players go away from the Premier League, then come back much better players with a bit more experience and a few more sort of years under their chest? And we're in a position at the moment, beggars can't be choosers.
I wouldn't mind him at all, to be honest with you. I think he'd be a good investment. But just to you know, at least we know if he does score, he'll be scoring at the other end, hopefully, and not against us this time. This is a player. Now, look, we're all going to sit here and go, well, why didn't we get this player? Why don't we go for that player? We did all this last night, guys, but just to briefly touch on 2, O'Hare was one I thought we might go for, only down the road on a free. I think he could have been quite a good KDH replacement, but for some reason he's gone to Sheffield United. Is it? I think he's gone to, or is it? Yeah, it's Sheffield United. But this is a player I would love to see in Leicester Blue. Schmodics. Again, now I suppose with Bergwijn, he's got the more senior experience, if you like. Would you like to see Schmodics with a blue shirt on?
I think he would be well down the list of who I would have ideally liked to have seen us sign. But if he comes in, I think you could do a lot worse than him. But even if there was a transfer fee, I still think Callum O'Hare would have been a better signing for us. But having said that, he was a free agent. There's a reason that no Premier League clubs approached him. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, Ipswich are after him. You're on about O'Hare, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sure they will have looked at him. They would have been mad not to look at him, wouldn't they? And for some reason they've walked away. And we'll never know. We'll never know. But now, just out of interest, next week I am doing a prediction league. Where do you think we're going to finish next season? If I gave you 17th now, would you bite my hand off?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I was so hoping that we would be coming up to this point of the season and we would know where we stand with the points deduction.
No, the thing is, we would have if we hadn't appealed it.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like, as much as, and this is where, like, as much as people want to get frustrated at the Premier League, it's like, it's because we're appealing it is why it's taking so long.
But they haven't even got the board ready yet to look into it.
No.
So whether we appealed or not, they haven't got anybody there ready to do the job.
No, there's an easy solution to this, isn't there? Shouldn't have breached it in the first place. We wouldn't be having to worry about it. So I struggle to have sympathy with the board and the club for, we don't know what points deduction we're going to get. Well, who's got yourself in that situation in the first place?
Well, of course, they could obviously put us in the same bracket as Manchester City, and therefore we wouldn't get a points deduction until 2034. But to
be fair, we need to get 114 more charges first.
This is very true. This is very true. And look, thank you so very, very much, mate. Really do appreciate you coming on. Give a shout out as to where people can find you. Your link is in the description below, but just to tell everybody where you are.
So Ant's Leicester fan channel, home and away match day vlogs, going to have a vlog or a couple of vlogs from France because going to the Lens game on Saturday, which should be good fun. So make sure to come and check out my channel.
We'll get you going to Lens, eh? Whoa. Is that permanent or just for lenses?
Unfortunately for you, I will be back after that.
Oh, God, no. Mate, enjoy it. Stay safe. In fact, you're probably safer out there than you are here at the moment. And just finally, my prediction of 17th is with a points deduction. I'm going to be honest with you. Mike thinks we'll be 16th. All we can do is go out and win every game, win the league, or struggle at the start, do the great escape, and then win the Premier League next season, Ant.
Yeah, I don't mind this if this is a rerun of last time.
Yes, we'll take it, won't we? We'll take it. But
another Premier League, another Champions League run, and another FA Cup. Can't complain.
Yeah, and of course, can't not say when you mention the Champions League, I've done a show for it, but R.I.P. Shaky.
Yeah, he's genuine. With Shakespeare, Ranieri's always the one who gets the credit of where the club is now, and obviously the ownership. But Craig Shakespeare is a huge part of this football club, and anyone who you talk to has only ever got positive things to say about him.
Yes. I mean, for me, keeping Shaky was probably a bigger decision than getting Ranieri in.
Ooh.
Because it allowed that continuity.
It does. I can see the point you're making with that one, to be fair.
Yes. You got Ranieri coming in and saying, we're going to play player P up there. And, Shaky can come along and go, joking, aren't you? He's crap up. Yeah. So it offered that kind of continuity for me. But look, enjoy Lens, mate. Stay safe. And we will see you. We'll see you soon, more than likely. Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers.
Oops, daisy. Look at that. I meant to make me big. There we go. Swallow my Viagra. Thanks to Ant. Like I say, his link is below in the description. Do go and check out Ant's Leicester fan channel. It's a great channel. And I will see you. Well, I'm here on Saturday because we're doing a watch along. Maybe if we get a picture of the crowd, Ant will wave and we can highlight him waving away at us. I mean, I have heard the rumor that we're going to see a streaker. Now, whether that is going to be Ant or not, who knows? I guess it will depend on how cold it is. He's taken down his camera off, so I can't see whether he's sticking a thumbs up or a thumbs down. least whereas I think it's his thumb. But anyway, we're back for that 2 o'clock or 2:30, I think it is, on Saturday, and hopefully be doing a show before then about Fofana and Carvalho. So thanks very much. Thanks to everybody that's been in the chat. Really, really, really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's been also listening via your favourite podcast platform. This has been LTID TV. I've been Chris, and you know what? I'll be back at some point.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.